Good evening, Cyber friends. It's Mitty Man coming back at you from Marcus Music with yet another word for the day. Sunday evening edition, people. We are giving God the glory and all the praise. We want to give a shout out to the YouTube fam from Baby Justice, all the way up to Big Papa JT as well as Mama JT. Y'all know the routine. Also to the End-Time Harvest Gang, Brother LA from Kingdom Knowledge, Elder Michael McCree, and Lady D, Elect Sister 777, Sister Kate, Sister Linda, all that make up the whole gang. The Brother PP Drawing, Brother Hottencliff, Brother and Papa JT, Little Brother Orange Flavor. I just want to come back, people, and saying we also, like I said, we giving all praises and glory to God. But this evening, Mitty Man want to take a little turn on some things. I heard some real good teaching and preaching today. It was Youth Day at my first Sunday church, New Salem, CME, and they had the presiding elder. He was down, and he's the one that delivered the message this morning. The powerful message. He talked about the story about David, and in particular, he was talking to the young folk. But this here sermon really applied to all of us, and we all can relate to this story because all of us have had some giants in our lives. But that is not really the angle I want to go on this talk for right now. But I wanted to kind of give a shout out, and also give honor to all of the strong women out in our land, the ones that didn't cop out. In other words, that they rose up to the occasion. And what I mean, I'm saying strong women, period. All across the board, not just black, not just white, but just to all the women that came and had to stand up to the plate when no one else was there. In other words, and you got two incomplete people, you still gonna have an incomplete couple. Somebody got to be complete. In other words, you take two complete people to make a complete relationship. But I look at the ladies that had to do things by themselves. They had mouths to feed. They had to raise kids by themselves. No male figure was nowhere to be found. And I mean, that's all across the board, people. That was black, white, Puerto Rican, you name it. It's across the board. So I'm just saying, Mitty Man just really taking his hat off. If I had one, I would just take it off to the one that they did not cop out. In other words, but they rose to the occasion and did a great job, as rearing and raising up their kids in the event, in the face of great adversity. In other words, but it was through the help of God, and by the grace of God that they were able to do it. I mean, my mom wasn't married to my dad. In other words, and so I know exactly what it's all about. And I saw her work and try to do things and make ends meet. A lot of females have had to do this very same thing, to make ends meet when there was no male figure to be found. And even then, again, a lot of times the male wasn't even in the home. But then again, that was male that was in the home. They were no better. They were just the worst. It's probably the worst off because now you're trying to feed a deadbeat. He was just there, but he was doing other things out there in the street at the same time. Still wasn't taking care of home. So I just really just take my hat off to all of the females that had to do that and had to succumb to great adversity in order to make it for their young ones, to raise them up, get them education through all kinds of adversity, but they made it by the grace of God. And I was sitting there as the pastor was preaching and teaching, and I was just looking at the young people and from the choir. He had them to come down and sit out front, and I was just sitting there at my keyboard, and I was just looking at each one of them, and how me and the director, the assistant director, Janice, we worked with them kids this past week or two, and how hard that they work. And we have a problem with some of them sometimes. They get a little They can get a little attitude sometimes, but you just have to know how to adjust that attitude. And believe you me, Midi-Man is an attitude adjuster. I know how to adjust attitude with young people because, like I said, when I work with young people, the few that I do have to work with, I let them know straight up, I am the adult. I don't let children talk to me in a kind of way. I treat them with respect, and they're gonna respect me. And I was just looking at each one of them, and I was just thinking about, how time flies. In other words, I used to be one of those youth, and we were the same way. All of us. I mean, like I said, you could talk about them having cell phone now, and every child got a cell phone. Well, people, ain't no sense talking about the young people about cell phone because we just didn't have cell phones at that time. Because if cell phones had been invented at that time when we were small, we'd have had a cell phone too. So your parents try to get you one too, just like the parents of the day, they try to get theirs one. It's not about that anyway. But I just say I'm just taking my hat off to the female that had to do things by themselves. And it never was supposed to be that way. But so many of us deadbeat males, we go around, like I say, anybody can make a baby, but it takes a real man to raise one. In other words, I don't claim to be no authority on that other than the Word of God because I don't have any kids for myself. But oh God, I have sure helped raise some. So I still consider myself an authority on the subject matter. But I'm really just taking my hat off to the female that had to do things all by themselves with them and the help of the good Lord. That's all the kids had. And I know I was one of those kids. So I know that I really admire the young ladies and the women that didn't cop out. They didn't cop out. In other words, they didn't get caught up in the cop out. They went on. They put the nose to the gridiron and they hung in there and ran the race with fear and trembling, and they did all they can to raise their kid. Therefore, children really shouldn't have anything too good for their mom. Nothing. I don't care what it is. You shouldn't have nothing too good for your mom, because especially those mothers that took care of them kids alone by themselves with no father figure or male figure around to do anything. And like I said, some was present and still didn't do nothing. So ain't no sense of them trying to make light and make light of the one that wasn't there. At any rate, though, I was just thinking about what the pastor said about David. It's not so much how you start out, but it's how you finish. David was a giant killer, and there's a giant killer in all of us people. And remember, David said, "The Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want." In other words, all we have to do is take the Lord with us everywhere we go. So, and everything will be all right. So, to all you, the ladies and the females that had to do things by themselves, God was with you. God bless each and every one of you. And because, matter of fact, you deserve this, that, and then some more. Matter of fact, to being able to do what you did, and by rearing your kids up and teaching them and training them up in the way they should go to the best of your ability. In other words, like I said, you didn't get caught up in the cop out. You hung in there with the grace of God, and you made it. You made it. So with that being said, this youth day, now, like I said, I was listening to that, I was looking at them kids. Those are the future parents of tomorrow. And we need to instill in them the morals and the character. Men, but Paul told us older men that we should train the boys how to be real men. And the older women should train the younger girls how to be real women and then be good wives to their own husband and everything. That's what we need to be doing. Instead of trying to party with our children, instead of trying to be out there and be their buddy, we need to be a parent. We need to be a guide. We need to teach them the right way to go. Now, a lot of them going to rebel. We rebel. You remember yourself when we was kids. We rebelled too. We may didn't do it the way some of them are doing now, but we did some of the same stuff. But nevertheless, there was always an old grandmama. There was a big mama somewhere that if you didn't get your attitude checked, they would check it for you. And it made us better people as we grew up. And we went back to the teaching that we was reared up with. So with that said, Midi-Man just saying, I give a shout out to all females that had to do the job of raising their kids by themselves, with themselves and the help of God, because there was no male to be found. So what I'm going to say it like this here. I'll say it again and I'll say it, and I don't care who don't like it. To all the females, young female, you are young. Don't get caught up on smooth talking character. Let yourself get messed up. Try to avoid that at all costs. In other words, do things biblically. Do it by the Bible the best you can. Try to hang in there and do it by the way, because the one thing about it, I always say this, what make you think that Mitty Man gonna treat you better if I already got a wife or already got a girlfriend and then I mess around with you? What make you think that I'm gonna do you so much better? I'm gonna do you the same way with somebody else. As soon as I find somebody else that look a little nicer, with a bit of fine shape than you, I'm gonna be going with that one too. So, contentment is the key. With that being said, like I said, the day was a good day, and there's a giant killer in all of us. Be what you are. Take the Lord with you. And then young ladies, take the example at some of the older ladies that don't went and don't walk the path that you got to yet walk, and look at how they did not fall down. They may have fell down, but they didn't stay down. They got up and they rose up to the occasion. They still did what was needed in order to raise their kids. So therefore, follow their example. Sometimes, hey, that's just the way it is. But like it says, keep the Lord with you, and everywhere you go in all your walk, remember, whatever good God is not in, you stay out of it and you'll be okay. It's Mitty Man saying peace and goodbye.